Hey guys, Mike from MontanaTroutFishing.blogspot.com. Today I'm going to do a very beginner lesson for those of you that are having trouble with casting and catching fish. This is all about tapering your line and getting the proper setup with your fly, split shot, indicator, and even your knots. What I've got in front of me here is a brand new leader. These run you about $3 a piece, quite pricey. That's why we go on and use the tippet to help with the longevity of our expensive leaders. Split shot to keep your flies down, an indicator so you can see when the fish are biting, of course, and then my assortment of flies. I'm going to choose a couple to put on and show you guys my setup for that. Okay, having a good taper in your line is very important for both casting and catching fish. In fact, if you do not have the proper taper and, for example, are just tying on tippet without knowing, it can be very detrimental to your fishing. It sounds simple. Everyone has their own way of setting up their line, from the knots to the dropper distance, where the split shot goes, and how far up your indicator is. I found a pretty good setup that always stays the same no matter what kind of water I'm fishing, and it always catches me a lot of trout. Okay, so like I said, I've got my tapered leader here, and as some of you may know, this goes on. If you were to start a new line, this is all you would need with a little bit of tippet. This is a 9-foot 5X leader, so that means at the very tip of the line where I'm tying on, I'm getting about 5-pound test. Now the 5X does not relate to the 5-pound test. It just so happens to be that 5X is 5 pounds. Like I said, this is your typical 9-foot. Some people go with 12-foot leaders, and even 7.5-foot leaders. At the very end of this leader, on the opposite end of where I'm tying, the line is rather thick and probably could be even 20-pound test or more. And then it tapers down so that when you're fly fishing and you're casting, it unravels and lays down on the water perfectly. If you have the wrong taper in there, you can get a lot of knots. That fly is just not going to roll over if you're doing dries, for example. So it took me a while to realize how important it was to have a tapered leader. So it's pretty simple if you start with a brand new one, but by the end of a day or two, you're going to be using up half or more of that leader, and that's when we need to start matching our tippet in. So you need to find out the diameter where you're broken off on your leader and put on the appropriate tippet size. Okay. Obviously 3X is going to be a larger diameter, and 6X is going to be very thin, only 3.8-pound tests. So that it's really tricky when you've got a 5 or 6 pound trout on there, and you're trying to coax them up on the shore or in your net. Okay, so those are the tippets that I have. Those are probably the most common tippets to have. People even have 7X. That's a little too thin for me, and I lose too many trout that way. Okay, so I've got my leader tied onto my fly line. Let's just say this is a brand new leader, even though mine I've been using tippet for it and got that tapered feel from it already. But we're just going to start over and pretend that this is a brand new leader right on the fly line, and I've got the end of my leader here now. Most people, well, some people, maybe some beginners, think that they're just going to go ahead and tie their main fly right there. A big tip here that people will learn over time, and I'm sharing with you now, is that we need a knot about 8 inches up here so that the split shot can rest on that. If you just have a brand new leader and you don't have a knot up here, and you tie your main dropper on, the way I like to set mine up with the split shot above that main fly, you'll be flying or casting, and your split shot are going to keep on moving down. They're going to go up the line, down the line, they're going to fall off. It's going to be a pain in the butt. So what I like to do is just take some tippet and tie that on, and just give myself a little bit extra room. Like I said, about 8 inches is all I need this knot to be from where I'm going to tie on my main fly. So I'm just going to do a quick, I forgot the name of it, to be honest. I used to think it was the blood knot, but it's not. I'll get back to you on that because this is just a great knot for tying tippet on. It's very easy and quick. And lately I've been getting away with about 3 turns on that. Okay, always lick your knots. Always make sure they go on moist and tighten up really well. Pull on each end when you're doing your knots, or else you're going to lose that big fish. Okay, so I'm going to trim these up. Okay, so now I've got that knot there. My leader ended right here, but I added some more 5X tippet because I'm not going to be going too far distance-wise to go up any in tippet. If I was going to add another 3 or 4 feet, I would probably switch it to 6X and go to the next smallest diameter so that that line can unravel naturally, and when you do your back cast and forward cast, you don't have any tangling there. It's all about the weight. Okay, so I'm going to just give myself, like I said, about 8 inches before I tie on my main, which just happens to be the girdle bug. Wink, wink. Tie this puppy on real quick. And this is just the clinch knot, or improved clinch knot. Definitely the knot to use when you're fly fishing. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now when you are doing your clinch knots and you have those turns, the smaller in diameter that you go and the less pound test that you go, you need to incorporate more turns. That'll really give the knot the extra strength it needs when it's under the tension of a big trout. Trout often get over 3 or 4 pounds, so we're already pushing it with our small diameter and small pound test. Okay, so here's the thing. I've got my fly leader here, and I've got a knot right here down to my girdle bug. Okay, so I'm going to put my split shot on now. I go with B size. A lot of people I fish with use AB. You know, 1 big split shot's the same as 2. Split shot I do switch up. It's the only thing on my rig that I do switch according to current, wind, anything that the day changes, that varies day to day. My split shot does change. So I'm going to put my split shot on right above that knot, and that's probably one of the best things that I've learned. It's less fiddling with the split shot. You crimp it down 1 time and you're good to go. It's not going to be going anywhere. Typically these tend to slide down. There's nothing like readjusting your split shot every other cast. So that's what I have so far, and now I'm going to add a dropper. So I've got a 5X leader on, and I did about 8 inches of 5X tippet to get that knot. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add some 6X, like I said, 3.8 pound test, so you're getting there. It's pretty crazy fishing with this stuff, and you got a big trout. You really got to take your time. Okay, so now the next thing is dropper length. A good friend of mine, ex-guide, professional fisherman by all means, goes with 18 inches or so of tippet on the dropper. I'm not quite that crazy. I give myself a little less room than that. I don't know why. It's just personal preference on why I do that. Let me tie this on real quick. Okay, so I've got my split shot, my lead fly, the top fly here, and I added about, well, I put on about 18-20 inches of 6X tippet. Remember, I'm going to go up in the number to go down in diameter so that I keep that tapered leader all the way through to the dropper fly. The dropper that I chose is a little bit bigger. I think it's like a 16 or 14. I'm not even sure what that is. It's a pretty common fly. Copper John or pheasant tail. I don't think it's a pheasant tail. Bear with me, people. This is not my fly. I picked it up at the store. Bigger size just so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to tie this on, not quite 18 inches. With that 6X, I like to try and do at least 8 turns. I've caught myself doing 5 turns, and then when I go to break off the tag end, the whole knot just breaks right then and there. So 8, 9, even 10 turns for this lighter stuff, and you'll be golden. Okay. All right. So next thing's going to be indicator and the distance for that. So I just wanted to show you, this is what I've got set up. Got my split shot right here, 8 inches down my girdle bug, my lead fly, and then maybe I did go 18 inches on my dropper. Oh well. Okay, so that's what we got. A lot of people put their split shot between the two, but then again, that you need a knot there to hold it. It'd be a lot better off that way. I like to put mine above the fly so that you get that down, and as it's bouncing along the water, it's dragging those down, and then your dropper is at a different level than the girdle bug. If you put the split shot in between, both flies are going to be on the same level, and you're not going to have that variation on maybe the fish are a foot off the bottom, maybe the fish are hugging the bottom. Okay, so the next thing is going to be the indicator, and that's going to be the last thing. So I've got about, like I said, 9 feet of leader here. 9 feet of leader. That's what I've got going there. And my indicator. Get back. My dog's trying to eat my fly. That would not be good. Dakota, quit. Okay, so the indicators, you guys can figure out how to put those on. Good friend of mine, once again, ex-guide, fishing the area for years and years, recommended to me to always keep the indicator 8 feet up. So you're about a foot from your fly line. And there's many reasons why that's a good idea. A lot of people don't like that. They think that it has to do with depth of the water. You know, you would adjust this to 3 feet if you're fishing in 4 feet of water, whatever the case may be. I always keep this indicator nearly a foot from the fly line. I'll get into it later on why that's beneficial, but the biggest thing I can say is it just gives the flies more leeway underwater, and it's not going to deter you from a strike. It's all going to be tense underwater. Okay, so that's how I hook up my rig. That's what it looks like, just like that. And keep it simple. I mean, some people do several different things. You can do your own thing. I think that's the coolest thing about it. But I have found that this setup right here, when I'm nymphing, catches the most fish. It's absolutely a great, just a great setup. And one more thing on the indicator that I just remembered is if the indicator is up really high, no matter what depth you're going into, your flies are always going to be on the bottom. If you hit a hole that's everything you've been fishing is 3 feet deep, and you go into a hole that's 4 or 5 feet deep, you're going to get down to the bottom just as quick. If you had your indicator set up at 5, or I've seen people put indicators right up here, 30 inches above their dropper fly, and there's going to be points where that indicator is keeping the flies from touching the bottom. And just remember, it's important to always keep your flies on the bottom, keep them dragging, get them right in front of those fish. So thanks for watching this. I hope it was helpful for some of you. It took me a little while to figure out a good setup, and I have friends out of work and at work even that I talk to on a daily basis on just theory and what works best, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm thrilled to share this with the world. And if you are a Blogspot member and you have Google+, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think.